Hello, I'm Heather Dawson and welcome to California Life. As always, we bring you the best of California every week on our show. So are you ready for some football? Well, the Super Bowl has basically turned into another holiday. And as we head toward the big game, let's see what all the fuss is about.
They say today's a national holiday. Isn't they? Maybe it's a Seattle holiday and a Denver holiday, but for the rest of you, it's a day of watching a team that's not your team playing the biggest game of the year. That's rough. That's like going to prom and seeing that girl you love and watching her dance with some guy who isn't you. Some guy named Sean. For 4 hours. And there are stats on Sean and breakdowns of Sean's moves and highlights of Sean and Sean in really slow motion. But this isn't prom. This is football. And you're watching some other team get lucky. Today's not a holiday for you. Somebody stole your holiday. You need to take it back. And you can. Hop on TurboTax, click on Federal Free Edition, answer some questions about yourself, and before you know it, you could be holding the biggest check of your year. And that day is your day. Not Seattle's, not Denver's, and not Sean's. Into it, TurboTax.
Radio Shack? Okay.
What?
The 80s called. They want their store back.
It's time for a new Radio Shack. Come see what's possible when we do things together.
You're too late.
You want a piece of my heart?
I can do that. I can do that.
We can do this!
You can do that.
And after the break, meet the real winners of the Super Bowl. Well, he's one of the most famous coaches of the NFL, and I had the pleasure of interviewing Coach Pete Carroll about his contributions off the field right here in California.
In Pete Carroll's 9th season as head coach of the USC Trojans, he's already faced disappointing loss, leaving many California residents wondering what the future holds for the one-time champions. Well, as Pete Carroll learned a long time ago, it all depends on how you look at it.
I kind of live my life day to day thinking something good is just about to happen, you know. So that's about as upbeat and positive as I can see it. I don't mean it to be that way. That's just the way I've kind of grown up.
Peter Clay Carroll grew up in a suburb of San Francisco, California. His father, Jim, was a liquor salesman, and his mother, Rita, a homemaker and an incurable optimist.
My mom was so supportive. I always look back to her, and she always was kind of directed me towards the good things and the things that we could do. And you know, I had such a great support system, and I think that kind of kept things in line for me.
Carroll earned his bachelor's degree in Northern California at Pacifica University, where his performance as starting free safety also earned him a spot on the All-Pacific Coast football team, twice. After college, Carroll spent a year trying out for the now-defunct World Football League in his hometown of San Francisco. He didn't make the team. Carroll realized that his athleticism would not be his ticket to success and decided to return to Pacifica University as an assistant coach while earning his master's degree in physical education. Then, in 1977, a 26-year-old Pete Carroll took on a defensive coaching job at the University of Arkansas under legendary head coach Lou Holtz. A year later, he headed to Iowa State to work with another coaching great, Earl Bruce, who Carroll followed to Ohio State the following year. After nearly 20 years in various assistant coaching positions, including stints in the NFL with Buffalo, Minnesota, and New York, in 1994, Carroll finally received his first NFL head coaching position for the New York Jets, an opportunity that proved disappointing. He was fired after only one season.
The occurrences have never knocked me down, and they've never kept me down, and I think that's all goes way back to the home.
Home, San Francisco, Carroll's next stop after being let go by New York. He moved back for 2 years and found success as an assistant with the 49ers. Carroll then spent 2 years as head coach in New England, where he still holds the franchise's second-best winning percentage. His next move would be life-changing. On December 15, 2000, Pete Carroll took the job that would make him a Southern California icon and a two-time national champion, head coach of the USC Trojans. He'd found a way to channel his high energy and optimistic approach, creating an atmosphere for his players that would inspire success. Carroll describes the process.
An empowerment process that really is trying to build people up to become the best that they can. So all of that just doesn't have any room for negativity. It doesn't have any room for going, looking at the dark side of things. And so that's just kind of the environment and the culture that we've created here, and it's served us very well.
In 2001, Carroll found a way to bring his team's environment of hope to the streets of South Central Los Angeles with a program called A Better LA. It's a nonprofit committed to supporting Los Angeles communities and redirecting gang members from negative to positive activities and positive visions for their future.
I go in with people that, in the different areas that are familiar with the area so that we can meet people. Basically, we listen. More than anything, we listen, and hear out, what's going on and what's up, and just in our presence and as we hear things, we figure out ways that we might be able to connect this or that and make things move.
The program also brings young people from inner city neighborhoods to USC to meet the players and find encouragement to move into productive lifestyles and careers. Carroll says his players love it as much as the kids do.
And they look into the eyes of those kids, and obviously our kids feel kind of their situation a little bit, and they can they look back to when they were kids, and they see it. So they make a good effort to connect with them and bring a little bit of fun, a little bit of joy, and a little bit of hope that maybe someday they could be in a situation somewhat like this.
Pete Carroll is always scouting, if not for athletic prowess, then for motivated members of the community to help lead the effort to focus energies away from crime and gangs and on to improving their lives, which in many cases means avoiding a statistical probability of death or prison.
The great ones always are the ones with the greatest will and the greatest desire to prove who they are and to compete on a regular basis.
Competing to improve, be it on the field or on the streets. Pete Carroll just keeps looking ahead, not just thinking something good is about to happen, but making it happen. For California Life, I'm Tom Sparks.
And after the break, meet the real cutest winners of the Super Bowl season.
If you get a ball, you're gonna be happy for the rest of your life. When you gave me the ball, I just had a big smile on my face, like this.
When I started the Sunday giveaway, as we call it now, I never imagined it would be what it is today.
Cam kind of started this, but through the last couple years, multiple guys, when they score, have taken upon themselves.
Cam threw the touchdown to Ted. I went down to the railing. I ran. No one saw me run because I ran so fast. Gives the ball to me, and I was like, holy cow, my dad's gonna squeeze me hard as he can.
Our fans in the first row have really embraced it.
We've certainly seen a shift in the calls we get for seating in the end zone. To have this special tradition, we're glad that it brings so many smiles to people's faces.
He picked me because I was doing my Superman thing. I had my cat ears and my tail. Because I look cute. I got back to school. Oh, wow. I'm, like, popular in school now. This is me. That's Tekken.
Very good drawing. It just shows what Panther Nation is all about.
You know, for me, at my vantage point, that's all I pretty much see. I see hands, 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 hands.
It's like so huge and like, I don't know how Cam throws this ball. Cam's one of my favorite players. There's like a kid stuck in his body. He can like dab and stuff.
You know, I'm a kid at heart. My biggest thing is to bring joy to people. A little gesture goes a big way.
You have like a 2% chance of getting it, but I was one of the lucky ones.
It's the greatest production of Hello Dolly I've ever seen. I never got the story until I saw it on Broadway about a year ago, right before the Tony Awards. Well, now it's a year and a half ago, and with Bette Midler, and I was so deeply moved by the show. And then I was really surprised when my agent called me last January, a year ago, and said that Scott Rudin and Jerry Zaks, our great director, wanted me to take the national tour on the road. It was like, I was really shocked, but also very moved and felt incredibly honored to have the privilege to carry this show across America in a time period where I think America needs a dose of joy that this show brings. So it's been really fun so far these past few months, and it's great to see America and bring this beautiful show to people across the country. It's not the easiest thing because we're often traveling on our day off. So that part is daunting and can be very, very tiring. And then the next day you go right into your sound check on a Tuesday and open in the new city on a Tuesday. I like best the sit-down cities where we're there for like 3 weeks or 4 weeks or even 2 weeks. That's kind of a reprieve because then you get kind of a day off, you know. My wonderful co-star, Louis Stadlin, he and I are the same age approximately, and every night when the curtain goes down, we just look at each other like, oh my God. But it's really worth it because the audiences in every city we've been to are just, they're filled with such joy, and they're on their feet at the end, just acknowledging the remarkable ability of our great ensemble. Our dancers are out of this world, our costumes, the set, it's just a sumptuously beautiful production. Dolly for the ages, that's right. And the reason we're all here now, you know, because she brought such wit and such humor and such joy. She created the role of Dolly Gallagher Levi for all of us to then follow. But she was a delight, absolute delight. Thankfully, my director, Jerry Zaks, our brilliant director, created the space for me to be the actress that I am in the role. And he's also a genius director of comedy. So I felt like I was in comedy school for the couple of months of rehearsal that we had. And it was a delight to be able to learn new skills about this level of farcical comedy at this point in my life, you know, because I'm 71, and it's like, it's an amazing thing to get to reclaim my Broadway girl self and get in great shape to be strong enough to do 8 shows a week and to learn this brand of comedy. It's been a wonderful gift. The reason for doing the show, you know, is that it was an honor to get to collaborate with these amazing artists, and they put together a cast too. Our ensemble is like remarkable. They're beautiful and gifted and just singular talents. They're like a group of angels, actually, dancing, singing. You know, I've done some pretty exciting stuff in a very eclectic career. I'm very grateful about that. This year I did a great show, TV show called Preacher on AMC, and I played a Cajun sorceress who consumes people's souls and is a very evil person. That was super fun. So and then I went from that, finished that shooting in New Orleans last spring, and went right into rehearsals in the summer to play Dolly Levi, who's the happiest person around. So my family thinks I'm schizophrenic, but apart from that.
The 2019 Business Leaders Outlook report finds many companies are in an upbeat mood.
But I find what's most interesting about the J.P. Morgan Chase survey of business leaders is that they're most optimistic about their own situation. When you ask them, what about the global outlook, the national outlook, where they don't know as much, they tend to be a little less enthusiastic.
Even though many businesses plan to hire new staffers this year, there's just one problem.
The biggest problem is trying to find people. Unemployment's very low across the country, actually, and they're having a hard time finding people and then retaining the people. So once people have skills, they tend to hop.
That means businesses are having to work harder to try to figure out how to keep employees from jumping ship. And for employees, the key is figuring out how to boost your skills so you can stay ahead of your peers.
It's a very promising outlook because people are going to have lots of choices and a lot of options, and they're going to find that the benefits are improving.
The last message Andy Irons left his wife, a nightmare.
I can't deal with this. Sick. I'm throwing up in the plane. This is hell.
He said he was so sorry for everything.
One of Hawaii's favorite sons, AI, died at the age of 32 shortly after that call from a Texas hotel room in November of 2010, losing his battle with addiction fueled by bipolar disorder, a mental illness that tortured one of the most gifted athletes of his era.
My brother was unorthodox, wild. You never knew what you were going to get.
There was sort of like two sides there, Andy. There was the side where on the beach and your friends and, you know, you're high-fiving and talking rubbish and, you know, just joking around all the time. And then as soon as the hooter went or you're paddling out for a heat, it just switched. And it looked like he wanted to kill you.
He was that guy that was just like, everything was just like, "Rah!" But then he did it in style, and he did it with style.
Andy was all time, even though he was intimidating, you know, in events, but he was one of the most loving people I've ever known.
Andy Irons' Kissed by God could have been the film to show a generation there is a way to break the grip of addiction and rise above mental illness. He overcame a substance-fueled near-death experience at age 21 to claim 3 straight world titles. Instead, it is an important, sobering chronicle that can't be ignored.
You know, many people live highly productive lives, and for them, it's something that sort of hums in the background that may not be that disruptive. And yet for other people, it's hard for them to hold down a job. It's hard for them to form and sustain relationships. People don't understand you. You can feel different from other people. It makes it so difficult to just figure out what you need to do.
There was no write-ups about it. You know, nobody talked about it other than behind closed doors, you know. I remember feeling like I wish it was exposed. You know, because at the end of the day, I care about people more than I care about a surf contest.
You see, Kissed by God is not a surf movie. It's a life and death movie, one that shows how a man battling his own demons of mental illness was still able to achieve greatness, even as his own grip was slipping away to the opioid drug epidemic.
This stuff's real for a lot of people. To see it, someone who's like at the top of the world go through it, and it gives me new perspective on it.
It was moving, and it made me believe more in the power of film to move and have social change.
I know that in his heart, he wanted his legacy to be, he wanted to change kids' lives, you know? He wanted to help kids get off of drugs. He told me that, you know? And I feel like if I don't get that out there, if I don't mention that and let people know that, I've let him down, because he looked me in the eyes and he said that's what he wanted.
Andy's young son, Axel, will no doubt grow up knowing of his father's global surfing legacy. But it's his wife, Lindy's work that carries on AI's dreams that Slater talks about, with her Andy Irons Foundation providing programs for young people struggling with mental illness, substance abuse, and learning disabilities. Bringing you the best of California, I'm Brent Weber for California Life.
And that's it for us. If you missed any part of our show, you can go to our website, californialifehd.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. I'm your host, Heather Dawson. We'll see you next time.
Watch us on our YouTube channel. Stay connected to our social media, like our blogs on Facebook. Follow our tweets on Twitter. And check out our posts on Instagram and Pinterest, where we bring you the best of California.